Sacred threads, a journey through the world's religions. Before temples rose or scriptures sang, before names like Yahweh, Buddha, or Allah echoed through history, humanity looked up at the stars and asked, "Why are we here?" Sacred Threads is a sweeping 15-part audio odyssey into the heart of our deepest yearnings, for meaning, for order, for the divine. From the silent meditations of Jain monks to the cosmic battles of Zoroastrian myth, from the fire of Sinai to the path beneath the Bodhi tree, this series traces the origins, stories, and living truths of the world's great religions, and the new ones still being born. You'll walk with prophets, philosophers, and skeptics. You'll witness the rise of sacred texts and hear the whispered doubts of those who walked away. And through it all, you'll discover not just what others believe, but what belief itself reveals about us. Whether you're faithful, skeptical, or just curious, this is more than a history of religions. It's a mirror, and the question it reflects is eternal. What do you worship when the world falls silent?
The dawn of religion.
Episode 2: Covenant and Commandment. Judaism. Wind sighs over the Negev desert. Stars, diamond points on black velvet, glimmer above a lone encampment. An aged herdsman, skin weathered like saddle leather, steps from his tent. He gazes skyward, counts breaths, not stars, for they are beyond numbering. A voice, inner or divine, whispers, "Look toward heaven and count the stars, if you are able. So shall your offspring be." Thus begins a saga of covenant, promises hammered on the anvil of history, faith tested in exile, law etched on parchment and heart. Welcome to episode 2 of The World's Religions. Tonight, we journey through 4 millennia of Jewish experience, tracing how a tribal bond with one God became a global heritage of ethics, resilience, and relentless dialogue. 1. Patriarchs and the Birth of a Covenant. 1.1 From Ur to Canaan. Archaeologists place the Sumerian city of Ur, home to ziggurats and moon god temples, in modern Iraq. Sometime in the early 2nd millennium BCE, according to the Bible's memory, Abram departs this urban bustle for the semi-arid marches of Canaan. Scholars debate dates, but the narrative's heartbeat is clear. Leave certainty, embrace promise. The covenant unfolds in 3 strokes: land. To your seed I will give this land. Descendants, I will make of you a great nation. Blessing to others. In you all families of earth shall be blessed. Circumcision seals the pact, blood and flesh marking identity deeper than geography. 1.2 Isaac, Jacob, and the God of the Fathers. The patriarchal tales knit ancestry into theology. Isaac survives the near sacrifice on Mount Moriah, an implicit rejection of child offering common in the region. Jacob, renamed Israel after wrestling a mysterious being, sires 12 sons whose tribal names will map the nation. These stories, set against Bronze Age nomadism, pulse with moral ambiguity, deceit and blessing, exile and homecoming, laying groundwork for a faith unafraid of argument with God. 1.3 Joseph in Egypt, foreshadow of exile. Joseph's descent into Egypt, his rise to vizier, and eventual reconciliation with his brothers plant 2 seeds: the diaspora as providence and migration as survival strategy. When famine grips Canaan, Jacob's clan settles in Goshen, prospering, until memory curdles into suspicion. A new king who knew not Joseph enslaves them, setting the stage for the defining drama of liberation. Second Exodus, liberation and law. 2.1 Moses, the reluctant prophet. Scholars place Moses loosely in the 13th century BCE, amid Egypt's new kingdom. Whether raised in Pharaoh's court or symbolic composite, Moses embodies confrontation with empire. Burning bush, a thorn shrub flames yet is not consumed, the name YHWH, I am who I am, blazes into history. 10 plagues, ecological nightmares that mock Egyptian deities, Nile blood challenges, happy, darkness eclipses Ra. Passover night, lamb's blood on doorposts turns slaughter into salvation. Haste of escape imprints matzah on ritual memory. 2.2 The Sinai Covenant. Atop a trembling mountain, thunder and trumpet blasts herald revelation. Unlike Mesopotamian covenants between king and vassal, this treaty is between God and a recently freed slave nation, an audacious leveling. The 10 words, commandments, carve 2 tablets. Divine allegiance, no other gods, no idols, honor the name, keep Sabbath. Social ethics, honor parents, forbid murder, adultery, theft, perjury, and coveting. Holiness here is relational, fidelity to God mirrored in justice toward neighbor. 2.3 Tabernacle and portable presence. Instructions for a mishkan, a movable sanctuary, detail fabrics, acacia boards, gold-plated cherubim. God's glory, Shekinah, dwells amid camp, not atop an inaccessible peak. This democratization of sacred space will later enable Judaism to survive temple loss. Presence is portable. 3. Wilderness, conquest, and the tribal confederation. 3.1 Testing in the desert. 40 wilderness years forge identity. Manna trains dependence. Rebellions provoke plagues. Bronze serpents heal. Deuteronomy recasts covenant for a new generation, adding humanitarian laws, gleaning for the poor, protection for the foreigner, prohibition of excessive corporal punishment, ethical evolution etched by hardship. 3.2 Joshua and the entry into Canaan. Archaeological data shows late Bronze Age city collapses unevenly. Jericho's famous walls may have already eroded. The biblical narrative, however, portrays swift conquest under Joshua, tempered by covenants with locals like Rahab. Scholars propose a gradual settlement, pastoral clans infiltrating hill country, absorbing Canaanite culture yet distinct in worship of YHWH. 3.3 Judges. Anarchy and charismatic deliverers. Without centralized monarchy, a cyclical pattern repeats: apostasy, oppression by neighboring powers, plea for help, rise of a judge, Deborah, Gideon, Samson, temporary peace. The refrain, in those days there was no king. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes, foreshadows demand for monarchy. Fourth united monarchy, Saul, David, Solomon. 4.1 Saul, the tragic first king. Chosen by Lot, Saul unites tribes against Philistine threat, yet insecurity corrodes him. His unauthorized sacrifice and sparing of Amalekite spoil, violations of prophetic command, estrange him from Samuel and God, highlighting the tension between royal authority and covenant obedience. 4.2 David, warrior, poet, covenant bearer. David of Bethlehem, famed slayer of Goliath, crafts a dual legacy. Political, conquers Jerusalem, makes it capital, extends borders to the Euphrates. Liturgical, dances before the ark, attributed authorship of psalms that voice every human emotion. The Davidic covenant promises an enduring dynasty, seedbed for later messianic hopes. Yet his adultery with Bathsheba and engineered death of Uriah reveal moral frailty. Prophets, Nathan, speak truth to power, a hallmark of Hebrew religion. 4.3 Solomon, wisdom and the first temple. Solomon's reign circa 970 to 930 BCE is architectural and intellectual zenith. The first temple, a cedar-sheathed, gold-gilded house, centralizes worship and pilgrimage. Yet forced labor and rural taxation sow resentment. Diplomatic marriages multiply foreign cults. When Solomon dies, the northern tribes cry, "To your tents, O Israel," splitting the kingdom. 5. Two kingdoms, many prophets. 5.1 Israel, north, and Judah, south. Israel, capital Samaria, dynastic upheavals, fertility cults at Bethel and Dan. Judah, smaller, Davidic line unbroken, temple cult strong. Prophets rise as conscience. Elijah storms Mount Carmel, challenges Baal priests. Amos indicts social injustice. They sell the righteous for silver. Hosea likens idolatry to marital infidelity. 5.2 Assyrian crisis and the lost tribes. In 722 BCE, Assyrian king Sargon II crushes Israel, deporting elites. 10 tribes vanish into history's mist. Judah survives as vassal, its prophets, Isaiah, Micah, interpreting upheaval as moral warning, yet promising remnant restoration. 5.3 Hezekiah, Josiah, and religious reform. King Hezekiah, 8th century, purges idols. Josiah, late 7th century, discovers a book of the law, likely Deuteronomy, during temple renovations, launching centralized Passover, early textual religion flexing authority. But geopolitics intercede. Josiah dies at Megiddo. Egypt and Babylon vie for supremacy. Judah's fate careens toward disaster. 6. Babylonian exile, trauma and transformation. 6.1 Fall of Jerusalem. In 586 BCE, Nebuchadnezzar II razes Jerusalem, slaughters or exiles elites, and burns the temple's cedar beams, the unthinkable. Psalm 137 laments by Babylon's rivers. Lamentations cries, "Is it nothing to you, all ye that pass by?" 6.2 Theology in crisis. How can a chosen people lose divine dwelling? Answers fermenting Ezekiel's vision. God's glory departs before destruction, implying mobility. Deuteronomistic history. Disobedience, not divine impotence, caused downfall. 2nd Isaiah 40-55 proclaims universal monotheism. I am God and there is none else, reframing exile as mission to proclaim sovereignty. 6.3 Diaspora as laboratory. Exiles plant communal models in Babylon. Synagogues emerge for prayer and study psalm sacrifices. Scribal schools compile, redraft, and edit texts that become Torah, Nebi'im, Ketuvim. Judaism becomes text-centric, portable, future-oriented. 7th, Persian Restoration and Second Temple Judaism. 7.1 Decree of Cyrus. In 539 BCE, Cyrus the Great topples Babylon, issues edict allowing captives to return and rebuild. Isaiah hails Cyrus as Messiah, proof that God works through pagan rulers. 7.2 Ezra, Nehemiah, and the Great Assembly. By 516 BCE, the Second Temple stands modestly on Moriah. Later, priest-scribe Ezra reads Torah aloud. Governor Nehemiah rebuilds walls. They mandate separation from foreign wives, enforce Sabbath economics, institutionalize tithes, formalizing Jewish identity around Torah rather than monarchy. The Great Assembly of Sages, tradition says 120 members, canonize scripture portions, develop fence around the law, precepts to prevent transgression, seed rabbinic halakha. 7.3 Emerging sects. During Persian and early Hellenistic periods, multiple priestly families vie. Samaritans build their own temple on Mount Gerizim, defining separate Yahwism. Diversity foreshadows later sectarianism. 8. Hellenistic crosswinds and Maccabean revolt. 8.1 Alexander to Antiochus. In 332 BCE, Alexander the Great conquers Judea, inaugurating Hellenistic cosmopolis. Koine Greek becomes lingua franca. Gymnasia rise in Jerusalem. Many Jews adopt Greek philosophy, translating Torah into Septuagint, LXX, for Alexandrian diaspora. Under Seleucid king Antiochus IV Epiphanes, R. 175-164 BCE, policies radicalize. Circumcision banned, pork sacrifices mandated, temple desecrated with Zeus altar, an existential affront. 8th Maccabean uprising. Priestly family of Mattathias sparks guerrilla war. Son Judah Maccabee recaptures temple, rededicates it in 164 BCE. The 8-day oil miracle story arises later, but the festival of Hanukkah crystallizes historical memory of religious freedom. 8.3 Hasmonean dynasty. Victorious Maccabees assume kingship and high priesthood, a fusion criticized by later Pharisees. Borders expand, forced conversions of Idumeans, future Herod's ancestors, sow ethical tension. Nonetheless, autonomy reigns until Roman intervention. 9. Rome, sectarian diversity, and the Second Temple's fall. 9.1 Herodian renovation and sect map. Rome installs Herod the Great, 37 to 4 BCE. Paranoid yet visionary, Herod enlarges the temple into a platform of white marble and gold, Judaism's architectural climax. Judaism now hosts multiple factions: Sadducees, aristocratic priests; Torah literalists, deny resurrection; Pharisees, lay scholars, value oral law, believe in afterlife; Essenes, ascetic community, likely at Qumran, await apocalyptic war; Zealots, militant nationalists; Therapeutae, Hellenists, John the Baptist's renewal movement, and nascent Jesus sect, proto-Christianity, swirl in ferment. 9.2 Great Jewish Revolt, 66 to 73 CE. Tax grievances erupt, zealots seize Jerusalem. Roman legions under Titus besiege, breach walls. In 70 CE, the Second Temple burns, its golden filigree melting like tears. Only the western retaining wall's lower courses will endure, today's Kotel. Masada's fall in 73 CE ends organized resistance, but memory of martyrdom galvanizes future identity. 9.3 Yavne and the birth of Rabbinic Judaism. Amid ruins, Pharisaic sage Yohanan ben Zakkai, smuggled from besieged Jerusalem in a coffin, secures Roman permission to found an academy at Yavne. There, rabbis recalibrate. Prayer replaces sacrifice. Synagogue becomes hub. Festivals adapt. Shofar on Rosh Hashanah, menorah at Hanukkah. Amida, standing prayer, codified. 18 benedictions weave national longing into daily liturgy. 9.4 Bar Kokhba and final exile. In 132 to 135 CE Shimon, Bar Kokhba leads a second revolt. Initial success crowns him messianic in Rabbi Akiva's eyes, but Rome retaliates brutally, renaming Judea Syria Palestina, banning Jews from Jerusalem save on Tisha B'Av. Temple dreams recede, portable Torah centers sustain identity. 10. The Talmudic Age. Text woven with life. 10th. Mishnah. The oral law in writing. Around 200 CE, Rabbi Judah Hanassi compiles the Mishnah, 6 orders, seeds, festivals, women, damages, holiness, purities, distilling debates of Tanaim, teachers. Written aphoristically, it invites commentary, not closure. 10.2 Talmudim, Babylonian and Jerusalem. 2 academies expand upon Mishnah. Talmud Yerushalmi, circa 400 CE, Galilean redaction, terse, war-shadowed. Talmud Bavli, circa 500 CE, produced at Sura and Pumbedita in Parthian, then Sasanian Mesopotamia. Its sugyot, dialectical units, spiral through logic, legend, and law, an intellectual labyrinth shaping Jewish mind. Babylonian geonim, heads, issue responsa, guiding far-flung communities from Spain to Yemen. Judaism becomes a republic of letters. Study equals worship. Interlude and invitation to part 2. Quills scratch in candlelight, echoing Sinai's thunder in softened tones. Our journey has carried us from Abraham's star-drenched covenant to the capacious halls of the Babylonian Talmud, a panorama of faith resilient amid conquest and exile. In part 2, we will traverse the medieval expanse, from Andalusia's golden age to Ashkenaz's crusade wounds, explore mystical currents, Kabbalah's cosmic repair, Witness emancipation, enlightenment, and denominational birth. Endure Holocaust night and witness Israel reborn. Survey contemporary Judaism's kaleidoscope. Part 2. Covenant and Commandment, Judaism. Pages rustle like leaves in an ancient library. Candle flame trembles, breathing shadows across inked parchment. Beyond the window, a new millennium dawns over exile and empire. The covenant endures, carried in memory, argument, and song. We resume our chronicle in the 6th century of the Common Era. The temple is gone, but a portable homeland of text and ritual flourishes from Mesopotamia to Morocco, from the Rhine to Kerala. What follows is a saga of peril and creativity, of ghettos that birth genius, of mystics who stretch heaven to mend a fractured world, of modern revolutions that promise freedom yet summon new trials. Listen closely. The covenant still speaks, in many tongues. 11th. A tale of two diasporas, Sepharad and Ashkenaz. 11.1 Western Sepharad, the golden age of Al-Andalus. When Muslim armies crossed the Straits of Gibraltar in 711 CE, Iberia, Al-Andalus, became a crucible of cultures. Under Umayyad, then Abbasid, then local caliphates, status, Jews, as dhimmi, protected peoples, paid a tax but gained broad autonomy to study, trade, and administer communal courts. Centers, Córdoba, Granada, Lucena, and Toledo, teem with scholars translating Aristotle and Galen from Arabic to Hebrew to Latin, feeding Europe's scholastic revival. Luminaries of Sepharad, Hasdai ibn Shaprut, 915 to 970, court physician and diplomat, who bankrolls academies corresponding with the Khazar kingdom in the Caucasus. Shmuel ha-Nagid, Samuel ibn Nagrila, 993 to 1056, poet general of Granada, pens war chronicles in biblical Hebrew, proving Torah's tongue can marshal armies. Yehuda Halevi, circa 1075 to 1141, lyricist of longing, my heart is in the east and I in the uttermost west, foreshadowing Zionism 8 centuries early. Moses Maimonides, Rambam, 1138 to 1204, born Córdoba, fleeing Almohad persecution, writes Guide for the Perplexed in Cairo, harmonizing Aristotelian philosophy with Torah, codifies Jewish law in Mishneh Torah, and drafts triage protocols still cited by medical ethicists. 11.2 Northern Ashkenaz, piety amid peril. Along the Rhine, Mainz, Worms, Speyer, Jewish merchants invite Carolingian king's protection, 10th century, birthing Ashkenazi culture. Liturgical innovations, piyutim, liturgical poems, infuse prayer with local melodies. Legal pioneers, Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, 1040 to 1105, pens lucid commentary on Bible and Talmud. His brief glosses later crowned the wine of Torah. Customs, minhagim, distinct head coverings, wedding contracts, and Passover tunes evolve, forging identity through embodied practice. Yet security is brittle. When Pope Urban II preaches First Crusade, 1095, crusaders, craving holy blood, massacre communities en route. Worms, Mainz, Cologne. Chronicles like Sefer Gezerot Tatnu record mothers slaying children rather than submit to forced baptism, sanctifying martyrdom as Kiddush Hashem, sanctification of the name. 12th. Catastrophe and Resilience in Christian Europe. 12.1 Blood libel and the ghetto. 1144 Norwich. First recorded blood libel accuses Jews of murdering a Christian boy for Passover rites, false yet virulent, echoing through centuries. 1215. Fourth Lateran Council. Imposes yellow badge, segregates Jews socially. Venice, 1516, establishes the word ghetto, from Foundry District ghetto, locked gates at dusk, but inside a furnace of commerce and scholarship glows. 12.2 Expulsions. England, 1290. France 1306/1394, Spain 1492, Portugal 1497, Royal edicts banished tens of thousands, scattering them across the Mediterranean, North Africa, Ottoman lands. Ladino, Judeo-Spanish, ballads carry Andalusian nostalgia to Salonika and Sarajevo. Marranos or Anusim, the coerced, concealed Judaism under Catholic veneers, kindling secret Sabbath candles behind shuttered windows. 12.3 Ashkenaz in Eastern Europe. Polish kings invite Jews as tax farmers and physicians. The Statute of Kalisz, 1264, grants legal autonomy. By the 16th century, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth hosts Europe's largest Jewish population, breeding ground for yeshivot at Lublin, Krakow, Brisk. Yiddish, a fusion of Middle High German, Hebrew, and Slavic terms, becomes lingua franca of shtetl life, its humor and heartbreak later immortalized by Sholem Aleichem. 13. Mysticism unveiled, Kabbalah and cosmic repair. 13.1 The Zohar's Radiance. In late 13th century Castile, Moses de Leon circulates Sefer HaZohar, Book of Splendor, attributing it pseudonymously to 2nd century sage Shimon bar Yochai. The text maps 10 Sephirot, emanations of divine light, from Keter, crown, to Malkut, kingdom, a mystical anatomy of God. Depicts exile as cosmic fracture, mitzvot performed with intention, kavanah, restore harmony. Proto-ecological theology. 13.2 Seift and the Lurianic Revolution. After 1,492 expulsions, mystics gather in Seift, Ottoman Galilee. Rabbi Yosef Karo finalizes Shulchan Aruch, 1563, a law code digestible even for layfolk. Rabbi Isaac Luria, Ari, 1534 to 1572, reimagines creation as tzimtzum. God contracts to make space, vessels shatter, sparks scatter. Human ritual becomes tikkun olam, repairing the world, an ethic later adopted by social justice movements. 13.3 Sabbatean shockwaves. In 1665, mystic Shabbatai Tzvi of Smyrna claims messianic mantle. Millions prepare for redemption. Ottoman arrest forces his 1666 conversion to Islam. Disillusion ripples, yet Sabbatean antinomian fringes persist, later morphing into Jacob Frank's sect in Poland. The episode tests rabbinic authority, prompting emphasis on sober legalism or, conversely, deeper mystical hunger. 14. Early modern crossroads, Hasid and Mitnagd, printing and port. 14.1 Printing the people of the book. From Sonsino, Italy, 1484, to Krakow and Amsterdam, Hebrew presses democratize study. Portable folios shrink Talmud from chained manuscript to backpack-sized companion. Commentaries multiply marginalia, transforming every page into a multi-voice debate. 14.2 Rise of Hasidism. In 18th century Podolia, Israel ben Eliezer, Baal Shem Tov, Besht, preaches devakut, clinging to God through joyous song, not merely bookish toil. Every soul a ladder. The innkeeper's sigh can pierce heavens as surely as the scholar's exegesis. Charismatic tzaddikim, righteous leaders, emerge, Dov Ber of Mezerich, Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, each caught a hub of story and song. Opponents, Mitnagadim led by Vilna Gaon, fear antinomian excess. Yet by the 19th century, Hasidic dynasties, Satmar, Ger, Belz, Chabad, lace Eastern Europe, weaving mysticism into daily piety. 14.3 Port Jews and Atlantic modernity. Conversely, Sephardi merchants, Gracia Mendes Nasi, Isaac de Pinto, trade sugar, diamonds, and cacao from Amsterdam to Recife, pioneering global networks. They finance Hebrew printing, philanthropy in Ottoman Palestine, and early Enlightenment salons, exemplifying Judaism's polyphonic adaptability. 15th, emancipation, Haskalah, and denominational branching. 15.1 The promise of equal citizenship. 1789. French Revolution proclaims liberté, égalité, fraternité. 1791 grants full rights to Jews. Napoleon's Sanhedrin, 1807, demands Jews become citizens first, Hebrews second, sparking soul-searching across Europe. 15.2 The Jewish Enlightenment, Haskalah. Moses Mendelssohn, 1729 to 1786, champions Bildung, cultured refinement, translating Torah into High German. Maskilim establish secular schools, newspapers, Hameasef, advocate trades beyond usury, seek linguistic integration. 15.3 Birth of movements. Reform, 1810, Hamburg Temple. Choirs, organs, vernacular sermons, liturgy trimmed of sacrificial hopes. Eventual Pittsburgh Platform, 1885, redefines Judaism as ethical monotheism. Orthodoxy, Samson Raphael Hirsch promotes Torah im Derech Eretz, embrace secular wisdom without diluting halakha. Conservative, positive historical, Zacharias Frankel mediates change and tradition. Later Jewish Theological Seminary, New York, 1886, births American conservative Judaism. Reconstructionism, Mordecai Kaplan, 1934, casts Judaism as an evolving religious civilization, advocates bat mitzvah for girls, synagogue democracy. Denominational pluralism mirrors modernity's centrifugal currents, turning unity into chorus. 16th, pogroms, Zionism, and the road to statehood. 16.1 Eastern nightmares. After 1881 assassination of Tsar Alexander II, pogroms, state-abetted riots, sweep Ukraine and Belarus, killing thousands. May laws, 1882, restrict residency, propelling mass emigration. Over 2 million Jews sailed to America, 1881 to 1924, reshaping New York's Lower East Side with Yiddish theaters and socialist sweatshop unions. 16.2 Herzl and Political Zionism. Theodor Herzl, 1860 to 1904, Viennese journalist covering the anti-Semitic Dreyfus affair, 1894, concludes only sovereignty ensures safety. Der Judenstaat, 1896, calls for Jewish Commonwealth. The First Zionist Congress, Basel, 1897, adopts national home in Palestine goal. Waves of pioneers, Aliyot, drain marshes, plant kibbutzim, revive Hebrew as spoken tongue, Eliezer ben Yehuda. 16.3 Balfour Declaration and Mandate tensions. 1917, Britain, eyeing post-Ottoman Middle East, issues Balfour Declaration supporting a national home without prejudice to existing non-Jewish communities. Jewish immigration accelerates. Arab nationalism resists. Riots, 1920-1929, and 1936-39, revolt presage intractable conflict. 17. Shoah, the Holocaust. 17.1. Descent into genocide. 1933, Hitler seizes power. Nuremberg laws, 1935, revoke citizenship. Kristallnacht, November 1938. Synagogues ablaze. 30,000 men to Dachau and Buchenwald. Wannsee Conference, January 1942, codifies final solution. Trains rattle to Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor. Gas chambers belch smoke of 6 million, including 1.5 million children. 17.2 Resistance and Righteous Gentiles. Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, April 1943. Starving fighters hold Nazis nearly a month. Partisans sabotage rail lines in Belarus forests. Raoul Wallenberg, Chiune Sugihara, Irina Sendler issue visas, smuggle infants. Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. 17.3 Theological Aftermath. Survivors like Elie Wiesel wrestle. And yet, despite everything, I believe in God, but I no longer can speak of him as before. Thinkers, Emil Fackenheim, insist Jews add a 614th commandment, not to grant Hitler posthumous victory by abandoning Judaism. 18. Israel Reborn and the Global Post-War Mosaic. 18.1, 1948, Independence and Conflict. UN Partition Plan, November 1947, accepted by Jews, rejected by Arab states. David Ben-Gurion declares State of Israel 14 May 1948. 5 Arab armies invade. 1949 armistices set borders. 700,000 Palestinian Arabs flee or are expelled. Nakba. Israel ingathers Holocaust remnants. Yemenite Operation Magic Carpet, 1949 to 50. Iraqi Operation Ezra and Nehemiah, 1951 to 52. Moroccan Jews, tripling population within 4 years. 18.2 Law, Religion and Identity. Chief Rabbinate controls marriage, conversion. Law of Return, 1950, grants citizenship to any Jew. Kibbutzim pioneer socialist agriculture. Hebrew University and Weizmann Institute foster science. 18.3 Diaspora flourishing. United States. 1960s suburban boom births, synagogues with stained glass menorahs. Civil rights movement allies rabbis with Dr. King. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel prays with his feet in Selma. Soviet Jewry, Refuseniks, Natan Sharansky sparked global protests, leading to 1990s emigration wave to Israel and Brooklyn's Brighton Beach. Latin America, South Africa, Australia host vibrant Kehillat, balancing Zionist ties and local integration. 19th, Contemporary Judaism, Diversity and Dialogue. 19.1 Denominational Landscape. Orthodox, Modern, Haredi, Hasidic. Women's Scholarship, Doctor. Aviva Zornberg, Yoetzet Halakha program expands roles. Reform, Progressive, embraces egalitarian liturgy, LQBT clergy. Conservative Masorti, debates Teshavot on same-sex marriage, ordination. Renewal, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi's neo-Hasidic chant, eco-spirituality. Humanistic Secular, celebrates cultural heritage, sans theism. 19.2 Israeli challenges. Peace process, Oslo, 1993. Second Intifada, 2000. Gaza Wars, 2008, 2014. Abraham Accords, 2020. Ethics of Security versus Justice Royal Rabbinic Discourse. Jewish-Arab coexistence, mixed cities, Haifa, Jaffa, incubate dialogue groups, yet tensions persist. Religion-state friction, draft exemptions for Hardim, pluralistic prayer at Western Wall, conversion laws. Democracy wrestles with covenant. 19.3 Global Trends, Digital Torah, Daf Yomi apps, Zoom Seders during COVID-19, AI-assisted Talmud study democratized learning. Interfaith work, Vatican II's Nostra Aetate, 1965, ends deicide charge. Muslim-Jewish initiatives like Abraham Accords faith forums emerge. Cultural renaissance, Israeli high-tech, startup nation. Nobel laureates, Dan Shechtman. American Jewish comedy, Mel Brooks to Sarah Silverman. Literature, Philip Roth, Nicole Krauss. And music, Matisyahu Noga Erez. Project Identity Beyond Ritual. 20. Epilogue, an eternal conversation. Night deepens over Jerusalem. At the Western Wall, notes wedged between stones rustle with prayers for healing, peace, love, meaning. Across oceans, a teenager lights Shabbat candles via TikTok tutorial. A Brooklyn yeshiva bochur dissects a Tosafot. A Ugandan Abayudaya choir harmonizes psalms in Luganda. A Mars orbiter beams data-thrilling Jewish astrophysicists who still chant, "How manifold are your works." The story of Judaism is not a straight line, but a spiral. Each generation circles ancient texts, ascending with new questions. Covenant obligates memory and hope. Commandment stitches ethics to daily deed. Argument honors dissent as devotion. Resilience converts ashes to renewal. From to the web, from sacrificial fire to LED menorahs, from Babylonian Talmud to quantum computing halakhic debates, the Jewish people embody dialogue between past and future, heaven and earth, self and stranger. May the covenant's echo invite you, listener, into that conversation. Ever ancient, ever new.